Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
I'm going to adopt a slightly unusual procedure today. There's a member of the association who feels that he was inadequately advised of the occurrence of this meeting, who would like to raise certain concerns. Now, his one concern, his first request was that this meeting be postponed. I've explained to him that I'm not the king here, I'm the chairman and I'm bound by constitution. So if anything is to be postponed, it's got to be postponed by a vote of the members in good standing present at this meeting, okay? So you guys have the final say and not me. So I'm going to ask Paul to address you so we can get that out of the way. And if you decide to postpone the meeting, I will postpone it. And we will have to set another date. In doing so, we'll be going out of our constitution because we're supposed to hold it by today's date. A second request he has made is to postpone the voting in of a new board, which can be done, but it's problematic in the sense that we then have no board. I have no powers to extend the tenure of the current board until such time as another board is voted in. So that leaves us headless. But I'm going to ask Paul to address you. Paul, would you like to come up and use the mic?
Hi everyone, sorry about this. And initially it was seen as an inconvenience when I raised this. However, I feel like there's an opportunity to speak and present, and I'm going to do so. I'm not asking for the whole meeting to be postponed. I mean, there are other matters that can be addressed. It's just the election and the nomination process. So what I've said here, I've asked for this letter to be distributed to everybody ahead of the meeting, so people can have an informed opinion of things. However, that was declined, and I was told I have to come and stand up here and address everybody. So by introduction, I'm Paul de Verge. I'm the MD of Royal Africa Boutique Collection. We've got two properties in Plett, namely Sky Villa Boutique Hotel, as well as the bungalow Plett. Okay, so what I've said here, the reasons for the objection to proceed with the voting is as follows. The nomination process in elections were not done in a fair and transparent way. My reasons are as follows. Mention of elections was provided in the notice as sent out on the 18th of August 2022. The notice specifically mentions this is a voting year for 5 hospitality seats, details of which will occupy this notice. Despite me specifically asking Plett Tourism to explain the process, this info was not provided to me. I followed up yesterday and was informed that no voting will take place due to the seats already being filled. And just bear in mind, with 2 businesses, we also get 2 votes. In my email to Plett Tourism on the 19th of August 2022, I specifically requested for Plett Tourism to engage with previous board members who were standing for re-election to provide us with a motivation as to why they should be re-elected ahead of the AGM. I wanted to know specifically what they had achieved in a business and personal capacity in their chapters, as well as what their vision was for the next term should they be re-elected. As a paying member of the association with 2 votes, I feel that I have not been given a fair opportunity to cast my vote. Board positions were simply filled without the due process. After finding out that no voting was taking place and board positions were already filled, I asked for the signed nomination forms to be sent to me. 2 nomination forms were provided for new nominations. These were dated 10 and 23 July 2022. My question is that if these nominations were provided a month before the AGM was announced, why was this information, 1, not provided to me at my request on the 19th of August 2022, as clearly a nomination procedure exists, and 2, why was a downloadable nomination form attached to the notice of the AGM as sent out on the 18th of August 2022? I was not given the opportunity to nominate persons who I feel can add value, nor have had the opportunity to stand for election myself. I was informed by Bruce yesterday evening via email that you do not need to be a board member to provide input or suggestions. I've done so many times in the past, in writing and in person. However, my suggestions are dismissed or ignored. Yesterday I asked that my objection and concerns be distributed to the tourism database. Ahead of today's meeting, this suggestion was dismissed. I was told that it must be raised at the meeting and I should garner a majority vote to postpone the meeting. Not all paying members are present at this meeting and are thus not privy to my objections or concerns. As such, these members who are not present will not have the opportunity to comment or vote prior to the new board being inaugurated. In closing, I feel that the real opportunity to elect a functional and working board who has the best interests of all within Bito at heart, and not just a select few, has been squandered. Based upon my concerns, it appears that the process leading up to today's meetings has not been fair or transparent and borders on corruption. It appears that the board positions were filled. I don't think it's a laughing matter. I'm actually standing up here addressing everybody, and it's not a joke.
Accusation like corruption. You can't use that word.
It's in my opinion.
No. You can't use that word.
Okay, can I finish? Appreciate. I will not.
Different word.
I will not
use the word corruption.
I said it borders on
So
corruption.
you're accusing me of corruption.
I said it borders on corruption.
Well, I'm
That's
on
my
the board.
opinion.
You're accusing me of the board of corruption.
Well, I don't know. When we go through the financials,
Oh,
when we go through the financials, we'll determine that.
Gentlemen, can we just calm this down?
Okay, but all I'm saying is,
I hear exactly what
it
you're saying.
takes a big effort to stand up here and address people and
No,
not being
no.
laughed at.
Yeah, no. Paul, please let Paul have his say. Just a matter of caution, Paul.
Yes,
Be very careful you don't get
No problem.
into territory where you can be accused of defamation.
no problem.
But so, unfortunate
Okay.
use of words.
No problem.
I think you should take that backwards. I will second that.
Yeah.
I think, who else seconds that? Right?
Okay, I withdraw the word borders on corruption, or the statement. It appears that the board positions were filled without due process in order to fulfill an agenda. Nominating a strong and effective board for Plett Tourism should not be an exercise of just ticking boxes. Processes need to be followed to ensure that suitably qualified and passionate persons are elected into positions where they will be able to be the most effective. I urge you to postpone the AGM this until such time as every paying member, apologies, let me just rephrase. I urge you to postpone the election part of the AGM until such time every paying member and stakeholders given a fair opportunity to nominate board members who they feel can add value. At the same time, ensuring that all members and stakeholders have as much information regarding the efforts of previously serving board members up for re-election in order to make a fair determination.
Thanks, Paul. I'm just going to ask Kathy to, because she's far more au fait with these things, to brief you on what has happened right from the outset to the run-up to this AGM. What was done to notify members, to send information to members. Let me just, in fairness to Paul here, so you people do understand what the problem is there was a failure to change Paul's email address on the bulk Plett Tourism database. So there were things that general members all received that Paul did not receive. So you just need to be aware of that.
So our first notification about the AGM was sent out by email on the 28th of June, and that was the nomination request. Excuse me, the nomination request. The second email was sent on the 19th of July, which was another notice of the AGM, which also included downloadable links for various forms, proxy forms, the agenda, etc. On the 18th of August, there was a reminder of the AGM that was sent also by email. And on the 25th of August, we made a special AGM announcement because we wait for the closing date. For administrative purposes, we try to streamline the nomination process, excuse me, so that we have time to put this type of thing together and to also prepare the nominees and prepare the voting ballots, etc., and encourage more proxies, which we didn't have additional nominees. We have the open seats for the board, which are elected by their respective businesses. So, the accommodation industry, we have 3. We have ecotourism, we have activities, and we have restaurants. And so we wait for those nominations to come in, and then the other categories where we didn't have additional nominees for, our board members are prepared to stand again for the next 3 years, according to our constitution. So profiles of those individuals were sent out on the 25th of August. In addition to the emails being sent, there were 2 ads in the What's New publication, because we are mandated to run in a community newspaper, and without the Sea Express in existence anymore, we selected the What's New because they print over 10,000 copies. In addition to that, we have 3 WhatsApp groups. We have one for restaurants, one for activities, and one for accommodation. And each of those WhatsApp groups are subscribed to by those individuals in the industry, members, and even other people who are interested in the hospitality industry. They subscribe to those WhatsApp groups, and they each receive 2 messages notifying them of the AGM, and also giving them a reminder of the AGM. And that was sent to the 6 different groups. So all in all, we used 12 different forms of communication to communicate the AGM, and with the nominations as well, using each of those.
Does anybody have any questions for Patty? Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I ask, you've outlined all the things that we've sent out. This gentleman that spoke first, which ones didn't he receive?
So on the bulk email system, which goes out to all of our members, which is our paid members and our free membership, which is, Brendan, is it close to 500 individuals?
It depends on which, if it's paid
The
members
industry
or if
one.
it's industry ones, could be it's about 500.
Yeah, it's about 500 emails are sent on a bulk email system. His particular email went to info@Sky Villa. Our report says that it was open, but unfortunately we don't have control over who receives info and if it's forwarded or not. So it wasn't sent to GM@Sky Villa, and it wasn't sent directly to Paul. It was sent to info@Sky Villa.
Any further questions?
Was that email used before as well?
Email has always been our main form of communication to all our members, yes.
Now, I mean the GM or the info.
Info was previously used, and then it was changed to GM, and then our internal communication is now between GM and Paul at Raw Africa Boutique Collection. So there's basically 1, 2, 3 emails in the system for Sky Villa.
If we can just add to that, I had asked last year prior to the AGM that GM and Sky Villa, the post is used for all communications, and there is proof that you agreed that that would happen.
That is correct. So our internal communications have subscribed to that. However, our bulk email system was not, that email address was not changed, unfortunately.
But it still went to the establishment.
Yes, it did, and it was opened.
And is he part of any WhatsApp group that you mentioned?
No, he's not part. You're not part of the WhatsApp groups. It is people need to subscribe to the WhatsApp group to be on the WhatsApp group.
If we can just add, there are a number of people that have told me specifically that the same problem. That's why they're not yet.
Well, that's a common problem where people either they've allocated their tourism emails to spam, or they don't read them because of the number of emails that they're getting daily. But you know, that's why we run it in the What's New, and that's why we created our WhatsApp groups specifically to combat areas where people don't always necessarily get to their communication in the form of an email. And just for historical purposes, we tend to have between, I'd say, 25 to 30 members at an AGM, paid members. And that's historically what it's been for the past, I'd say, 14 years. And whether, you know, why that is, we don't know. You know, we meet a quorum every time, and that's what's required in the Constitution.
I just want to know from you guys. I don't know, I haven't read the what happens now? You give them a chance. They want to nominate, or they want to nominate so that we can close this.
Perhaps I can answer that one.
It's subscribed.
Yeah, I have told Paul, and I notified him in an email, that the nomination process closes when the voting takes place.
They have a chance.
So there's nothing to stop anybody making a nomination at the meeting. What Plett Tourism try and do is to try and create a long build-up period so that the maximum can be achieved, maximum attendance can be achieved, that everybody is given more than a reasonable opportunity to make nominations for the board and attend to various other matters. So, does anybody feel that that process they've gone through is inadequate, that they should do more?
I think it would be a good idea for next year to send out a mail that we need to confirm on once a year or so, or a month before the AGM, so you are sure that you have the right email address. Although I think it's our own responsibility that we have.
Can I answer just a response to that? Is we do send out regular communication asking our members to please update their information, and that is sent on a regular basis. Yeah, we do send that out on a regular basis.
You know, this is not the only organisation that suffers from this sort of thing. I own properties and that sort of thing, and their management boards and their AGM held, and they also battle to get quorums.
We resolve by asking, are you covered, yes or no? And if it's a no,
There is a
That is the
RSVP.
RSVP button on the email. Yeah.
Would it not be possible, I mean, not everyone gets the little newsletter that gets, put it on social media, we have access to the platforms and
It was on Facebook.
Can't hear it.
Sorry, would you
I
like
think
to
it
say?
was on.
would it not be possible to put it on social media? I know that most people, it's the easiest form of communication, so just to say, our AGM is coming up, if you have not received the communication, please feel free to contact us, and then whatever documentation or nominations or information they need, they can receive.
On something like Plett Stereo or Plett Connect.
Even just on your page.
Now, we couldn't put it on our page because we are required to do destination marketing, which is, we've got 47,000 fans on Facebook, on Instagram. It isn't something that would normally be seen on that type of a platform, on a destination marketing platform. It would be on an internal platform, and that's specifically why we've created the WhatsApp groups, because it's very focused and it's very specific and it's local tourism related. We do put it in the business to business emailer. Unfortunately, we didn't send a business to business emailer out before this AGM, but it does go in there as well.
It's just that if the emails already are going to email addresses that are incorrect, you're not going to be reaching the people that possibly need to.
Okay, can I just make a comment in relation to that? Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, it sounds like Plett Tourism has complied within the constitution of notifying everybody, so which is, should be moving on.
You know, sorry.
Can I please suggest, if I may, tourism is the lifeblood of Plettenberg Bay. Let us all work together to build tourism in Plettenberg Bay and forget about all this other destinations. Let's work together.
Yeah. I don't think anybody wouldn't endorse that. Thank you for your contribution. You know, from my side, because I've worked in the administrative, legal and business field for many, many years, you send people a notification, update your details, and unless you offer them some kind of prize, free fuel for a year, 80% of the people will just ignore them. You know, it is a generic problem trying to get people to communicate. And my own personal view of it, we're all adults, we all know what we're involved in, and we should take a proactive interest in what we are involved in. Having said that, I was a guilty party in not doing a proxy for a recent AGM for property in Cape Town. So that's the way we are. So there are certain lengths that I feel we can go to, But on the receiving end is a person with abilities, a brain, and equipment. And to some extent, we've got to be able to rely on that feedback to be part of the process. I said it once, I'll say it again. There was an issue with Paul specifically that I've been made aware of. I've not received it well. I think it was totally unnecessary. And if it happens again, things will be taken to the next level. But mistakes are made. I also accept, although I'm a perfectionist, that mistakes are made in every organisation, and this is one that slipped through the cracks. And as far as I know, it's the only one that slipped through the cracks. The fact that people say, I didn't know there was an AGM, doesn't impress me, to be honest with you. We could probably go on their computer, turn up their emails, you'll find it there, they just haven't read it.
I want to commend you for taking this action. I worked a number of years in the State Attorney's Office, and I think what is now happening is vexatious proceedings. I wish you would continue with the meeting.
Okay, I'll take a lead on that. So in order to postpone anything, so I'm going to put two proposals to you, although is the postponement of the meeting withdrawn?
Yeah, it's just for the election and nomination.
So Paul has asked that the election of a new board be postponed. So those who are in favour of the election of a new board being postponed, please raise your hands. Okay, we proceed as laid down the agenda. I do apologise for taking up people's time, but these things are important, and Paul and I will be meeting in the near future to discuss. I'm only too thrilled if anyone wants to become involved and be a part of this process and contribute towards the success of Plett Tourism. I can assure you there's been some suggestion that there's a little clique. As I've said to Paul, I wish at every election there was a queue of people queuing up to join the board. Unfortunately, the fact that we start in June to try and whip it up, generally the past few years, we've had a single nomination for each position, and therefore we've not gone through a voting process because it's pointless. You only got one. It's a bit like Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, you know, he's the only candidate on the sheet, so you vote for him. Anyway, having said that, Paul's heart is with us. He is a demanding individual, and quite rightly so, and I do appreciate his engagement and to make sure that we do in fact get things right at the end of the day. So, having said that, welcome to all of you. I thank you all very much for being here. I extend that to, I believe our mayor will be here at some stage, and some members of some councillors. They've unfortunately been delayed elsewhere. I welcome the municipal officials that are here, the board members in attendance, and lastly but not least, the Plett Tourism members in attendance, because without you, we don't have an association, and Plett Tourism could not be what it is today. I'm satisfied that the board has discharged its oversight mandate during the past 12 months, and I'm really appreciative of their efforts and their diligence in attending meetings. We meet at 3 monthly intervals, at which time Patty presents us with a report of activities that have taken place for the past 3 months and what she proposes for the next 3 months, and the board then question and interrogate that and approve it, a plan of action for the ensuing period. I'd also like to thank our CEO, hardworking CEO and Plett Tourism team. I think few people actually understand how hard these people actually work. It has been suggested to me that we should get some volunteers to do their jobs. I wouldn't volunteer for a start, I can tell you. I'm privy to their WhatsApp communications, and they're on it 24/7. It stuns me. It doesn't matter whether it's 9 o'clock on a Sunday night, if something happens, they're onto it and they're working. Looking back to the 2021 AGM, we were still in lockdown and could only have limited numbers in attendance at the AGM, and perhaps we can pause to appreciate the pleasure of returning to being free to interact with one another without restriction. I've monitored infection rates internationally through the pandemic, and as South Africans we are to be congratulated not only for plummeting infection rates beyond what other countries are achieving, but also the way we've handled the pandemic. There's a war in New Zealand, there's a war in Canada, there are wars in Europe, there's a war in America. South Africans don't even talk about COVID anymore. So well done to us as a community. There's been no division of community, there have no been the vaxxed and the unvaxxed and this, that, and the next thing. As a society, we have been absolutely amazing. You are part of that society, and I commend you all for managing the process. We've come through it better than anybody else. South Africa's upbeat, and it's one reason why I think the tourists are dying to flock to us, to be amongst us, because we don't have these issues that they have in their town. I have a daughter who lives in New Zealand, and they've been under positive persecution there, likened to Mugabe ruling Zimbabwe. So we are blessed. Our government has not done that to us, and we have responded well as a society. My perception at multiple levels is that Plett in particular has prospered during and after the trying times that we've been through. One only has to see how busy our streets have been and continue to be, notwithstanding the restrictions we've been under. And let me tell you, that is in no small measure due to the work of Patty and her team, who have constantly plugged away, constantly put out an upbeat message so that people come here and want to come here. You'll notice our building industry is booming. Everybody wants to come and live in Plettenberg Bay. Why? Because we are the best town in South Africa. As I've said before, extraordinary times require extraordinary people, and we certainly have a team of extraordinary people working for us. I've been amazed as to how they have worked hard together, remained upbeat and positive under very difficult circumstances, ranging from budgetary constraints to the ongoing challenge of keeping tourism alive in our tourism sector while whetting the appetites of the tourists that now flock to our town. The enthusiasm has been and continues to be infectious in keeping our town upbeat and optimistic. And I believe that as a result, the tourists have become caught up in our optimism. Our relationship with Bito municipality partners continues to be strengthened and consolidated into a mutually supportive and cooperative team, which is so important during these times, and we have come to really value that relationship and the support that we receive. In closing, I'd like to very sincerely thank Bito municipality, all our members and others who recognise the positive impact of the work being done and lend their weight and resources in support of Plett Tourism. We value each and every one of you, and you're also an essential component of the success of which I speak. Attendance register and proxies. Has everybody filled out the attendance register?
Yes, we have 26 paid members here. We need 23 for a proxy, so all in
For a quorum.
Yeah.
Any apologies?
We do have apologies, and we've got quite a few.
Yeah.
So I've got a list of them, and the ladies have them up front.
Okay.
If anyone would like to see
If
them.
anybody would like to see them, they're out front. So we have a quorum, we can proceed with the meeting. The previous minutes from the last meeting have been circulated. Have you all had sight of those minutes? Can I ask if there are any comments on the minutes or adjustments that need to be made? I are there any matters arising from those minutes that are not on the agenda today and that anybody would wish to raise? Okay, thank you very much. I'm now going to ask our CEO to present her annual report, and at the conclusion of that I'll be inviting comment, and if there is no comment, the adoption of that report. Thank you, Patty.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bruce. And thank you for members and those of you who are interested in more about learning about Plett tourism and the hospitality industry in Plett. First of all, we'd like to put forward an acknowledgement of thanks. We'd like to thank the communities throughout B2 and their commitment to our land, our forest, our waters, and our indigenous cultures. We thank you for your dedication to uphold the integrity of the Plett tourism brand, Plett It's a Feeling. And very important and core to that is the commitment to look after some of our most amazing selling points in Plett, and it is one of the pinnacle reasons why Plett is positioned where it is, and in particular because of the in the hospitality industry itself. Our land, our forests, our waterways, and our indigenous cultures. Plett currently, prior to COVID, our reports indicated that we attracted close to 1 million visitors. And with that came a rather large spend in tourism. We estimated about 2 billion rand was spent in the tourism industry. So tourism arguably accounts for one of the largest contributors to B2's gross value, and employs at that stage between 3,400 and about 3,600 individuals. At that stage, some of our general yearly indicators that helped us come up with these facts and figures was 99% capacity at the Beacon Isle, which works out to 195,000 guests, 75,000 visitors frequenting Robert Nature Reserve on a yearly basis, 250,000 bottles of local wine was sold, 250,000 visitors frequented our top 3 animal sanctuaries. We estimated that 1 million guests would eat out on average 2 times during their 2-night stay here in Plett, and that 1 million guests would participate in at least one activity while they were here in Plett. So our local performance indicators for this year are quite significant. It's been very difficult to estimate during the COVID times with accurate statistics. So we really concentrated on this as kind of our intro to the recovery years. Our accommodation survey that has been conducted over the course of this past fiscal year indicates a 100% increase in comparison to our surveys done in the previous year, which were at an 86% decrease. So that's really good signs of things to come with accommodation. SEMAIR has confirmed that these winter months for this year, June, July and August, have been their record best since opening their doors in Plett, which was 8 years ago. The Beacon Island Resort has reported an average occupancy of 82.4% in 2021, 91% in 2022, and 100% occupancy for this year's season. And Cape Nature and Robert, specifically Robert Nature Reserve, has reported, you can see they were at 30% capacity in 2020, 82% capacity in 2021, and they're sitting at 84 occupancy capacity to date in 2022, and we still have several months to go. So that 84% will climb as we go towards the end of the year. So their predictions are they'll be at about 92% capacity, which is really good. So those of you who don't really, maybe if you're new to the room or new to the industry in Plett, this slide gives us an overview of who the Plett Tourism Association is, who we are, our purposes, our goals, our values, and what our functions and deliverables are as a destination marketing organization and as the appointed LTO for B2. We're a voluntary association and we were established in 2013, and our main purpose is destination marketing and management. Our goal is to maximize tourism's economic contribution throughout B2. Our values: we're united, we're innovative, we are in the commercial space, and we work very hard to keep us there. Our team, we have several functions and deliverables that we would like to highlight today. We're always increasing product awareness. We like to increase traveler knowledge. We increase the desire to travel, and specifically the desire to travel to the garden route and to Plett. We conduct research, we analyze trends, we sit on various boards, and we attend different steering committees and engage with industry stakeholders to make sure that we're on top of these trends. And stakeholder communications is a huge part of what we do. Stakeholders could be anything from the COVID task team, Western Cape Province, SATSA, Tourism Business Council South Africa, and the private sectors and other provincial government sectors. So we do a lot of on-the-ground stakeholder communications. This is an overview of our organizational chart. Our board of directors have appointed Bruce Richardson as our chairman. And with that, I've been appointed as the CEO. I've been working in the tourism industry for close to 30 years, specifically in Plett for about 15 and a half years, with Plett Tourism since its inception, so that's working on close to 9 years. Not as the CEO, but working in other areas of Plett Tourism, membership, media, tourism travel trade, and various projects. The office is operated and managed by Cindy Wilson-Troller. Raise your hand, Cindy. And she also is involved with our events and festivals. And she sits on the committee that is involved with the municipality for various event approvals. And with her comes some of our team members. That's Andisiwe Kasana, and you might have met her up front there. She's an information officer and she assists Cindy with events and administrative support. Our front of house information officer is Emily Potgieter. She's not here today, she's in the office because we need to have somebody in the office. So she's a familiar face in the office. You might have, many of you who've been in the industry might know her. She's dated back, I think, for 25 years at tourism in Plett. And then we have Braylee Boyson, who started out as an intern with us, and she is now front of house and administrative support. We have Liz Phillips. She is our treasurer and bookkeeper. And our membership manager, Tandi Mabukani, is not here today, but she's generally the person that you're in contact with regarding membership. And then further down, you'll see our three project managers. Communications manager is Janet Middleton. She handles our digital media channels. Unfortunately, she's not present today. Our webmaster and systems manager is Brendan Morris. He's been with us since our inception, the start of the association. And then new to the team is our travel and trade consultant, Portia September, who some of you may have met, but many of you would have got emails from her. She's assisting with the travel and trade portfolio, with the fam trips, educationals, WTM, etc. And just as a reminder, we're committed as a team. The Plett Tourism Board acknowledges the full commitment to our team and what we have done to rapidly gain momentum throughout the pandemic and to keep that momentum going. We never stopped. We might have closed our office doors, but we were online and we were working as we normally do. And things didn't slow down during the pandemic for us, they actually sped up. Just to go through some of our operational highlights, these obviously are highlights, and there's a lot more to report on. We do have our quarterly reports which are available online, and then this AGM presentation will also be put on our website, and it'll be available for downloading as well. And we also film the AGM, so at any time you can go back to the film as well. The main operational highlight for increasing product awareness is we put a huge focus on our publication features. So this year we developed a relationship with Travel Ideas. We had a 6-page spread in one issue, and we had a double-page spread in this particular issue. Rove SA, one of the more popular and largest international the publications that come out of South Africa, they hit the international market. This was a joint marketing initiative with our Garden Route and Klein-Karoo office, which is a Garden Route district municipality, and it showcased Plett alongside other Garden Route towns. And then we have our local publication, the Times Plett in Knysna, and we have a very good relationship with them where we're in every single one of their issues. And we recently have been engaging with Cape Nature, and they are doing joint marketing initiatives with us for this past year. We have been focusing on the domestic traveller, primarily because of the pandemic. We're starting to go now more into the international travel market as well. Our Facebook Watch series has had 4.8 million views, and our YouTube videos have had just over 1 million views throughout the course of the year. We've done numerous journalist and influencer hosting. We have a weekly subscription newsletter that's actually gone down to twice a month due to it being a slow time of year. And we also have automated product updates that are sent out regularly. Our digital media is very strong. It is focused on destination marketing. And that goes out globally. These are some of the highlights which you can view. You can't see them up close now, but it really showcases the number of views, the number of likes, and all of the stats that you would require or might be interested in the digital media space. Our main focus at the moment is chase the feeling, trying to get people to come to Plett. We niche focus on getting a good space, adventure and nature, marine ecotourism, and we like to involve people and their stories, because we believe that the more that we can expose our people in Plettenberg Bay and their stories, it actually creates a nice environment for people to come to, and they're starting to put a name to a face. We have sent out hundreds of mailers to date on our tourism business mailing list with a subscriber base of over 1,950. And these different emailers range from business news, industry information, various notices, and surveys, and requesting feedback, and just a general awareness. We often have emails that we are asked to send coming from economic development, coming from the provincial government, and we send it out to our databases. We have sent 240 fortnightly newsletters to date to our general mailing list with a subscriber base of over 6,200. That is a general emailer that goes out, and like it says here, it's subscription, so these people want to read it. We're not spamming, it's a subscription. And then we have 4 WhatsApp groups, 3 for the industry, and 1 for anyone who's interested to know what's going on in Plett. So we have a restaurant industry WhatsApp group, accommodation WhatsApp group, an activity WhatsApp group, and then we have a general WhatsApp group, which your local industry doesn't subscribe to, but people from outside of Plett subscribe to. Increasing traveler knowledge is very important. As I mentioned earlier, we went into a joint marketing initiative with Cape Nature. We had the mural on the wall on the corner of N2 in Peace Valley. You might notice that it has been removed, and it was damaged in the wind this past week, but we do have plans to replace it. We attended WTM Africa, which was held in April. We participated in several mega fam trips. Fam trip is an educational, a fam trip is anywhere from 7 to 20 tourism industry individuals and or media, and we do these in conjunction with our provincial tourism body, which is Garden Route and Kangaroo. We do it with Westgrow, we do it with SA Tourism, and we do it for the private sector as well. We participated in We Are Africa, and specifically that was the Plett Winelands. The Garden Route was hosting a stand and an activation at We Are Africa, and we participated with wine. Our SA Tourism Educationals are ongoing and regular. We've been involved in several SACSA roadshows, having representation there. We send out a travel trade quarterly newsletter that goes out to a subscription base of just over 4,500 subscribed tour operators. Very important. We recently have gone into a joint marketing initiative under the umbrella of the Garden Route and Kangaroo, which is our regional tourism body. They have signed a JMI with Westgrow and with SACSA, and the LTOs fall under that space. And what it is, it's a public-private initiative for marketing specifically for the Garden Route. And the inaugural steering committee had its first meeting 2 weeks ago, and Plett Tourism, George Tourism, and Oudtshoorn Tourism are the first to sit on the steering committee. And they're using this as a guinea pig for the rest of the Western Cape. So we're very honored and privileged to be part of that. Our increasing desire to travel is one of, in the foremost of what we do in regards to our media plans. So Chase the Feeling campaign, that's been used throughout this year, and it was used in the previous year as well. Get in a Good Space campaign and the Never Ending Tourist is part of the Westgrow campaign. So we go along with them so that we can maximize the exposure. And then we have our niche market focuses that are throughout the year. So our marketing pillars, we have 4, and they are strategically placed. We have Plett Summer, which is November, December, January. We have Plett Wine and Food, which is February, March, April. We have Plett Adventure and Nature, which is May, June, July. And we have Plett Culture and Heritage, which we're coming into now, is August, September, October. Conducting research and analyzing trends is a passion for myself. It's often not a passion for our members because we often struggle to get members to complete the surveys, but we've come up with an innovative way to get them to start participating a bit more. So we do quarterly member surveys. We were involved in lockdown surveys. We do walk-in office stats. I think I heard someone earlier asking if we had a track of who walks in the office, where they're from, how many we have, and we do keep those stats. And we also were involved heavily with COVID member surveys, and that even continued into this year. Increasing international and domestic travelers' desires to travel to Plett involves a great deal of communication with stakeholders. The stakeholders that we regularly engage with is Garden Route and Kangaroo, Westgrow, the COVID job task team. Both Bruce and I sat on that task team. It seems to be going down a bit now, and it's not as invasive as it used to be. The Plett Business Chamber, SACSA, the Plett Ratepayers Association, and of course the B2 municipality. Our finances for the year, we have a contribution from the B2 municipality for this past financial year of 3.4 million. And we had additional contributions throughout the year, as you can see in the top section of revenue. Community and event funding, income through advertising, commission and activations, income from events and festivals that we host, sponsorship and marketing fees that members contribute towards for special marketing projects, obviously interest from the bank, and income from our members. So just below that you can see what our expenses are. So we have our office expenses, our tourism and travel trade expenses, our festival and events expenses, our products and development expenses, and I'll just put it in media platform expenses. So it's media, so there's print media, social media, website, radio, etc. And our target, we were right on target, so we did very well for this financial year. And just to highlight a few exciting things that are coming forward to look forward to, I attended a tourism strategy session and meetings last week in Cape Town with the Western Cape Government, Westgrow, SACSA and a few other stakeholders. And the results from this year's survey are very exciting for the garden route. And I'm confident that Plett had a huge role to play in these numbers. Because I think if you go from town to town along the garden route, and when you meet with the individuals at the different local tourism offices, we do seem to be a little bit seeing more visitation, higher bed nights, and a higher spend. So overall, domestic visitors spent the longest time in the garden route. And during the month of July, it was 2.6 days, and the shortest time spent in the Cape Karoo was 1.5 days. And according to our research, Plett sits at about 2.8 bed nights. So we're right on trend in there, but we're actually on the higher end of the trend. And over 60% of the tourists that were sampled stayed overnight in the garden route specifically. And that was followed by Cape Town. So you can see we're sitting for domestic tourism at 63.2% and Western Cape at 51.3% as a whole, and then they break it down. So we're pretty much we're actually ahead of where Cape Town is when it comes to looking at number of bed nights and the overnight stays in total. So the international tourism statistics are a little bit different. International visitors spent the longest time in the garden route and in Cape Town, and on an average of 2.8 days, which really coincides with what our research also found. And based on a sample of international tourists, close to 70% of them stayed overnight in Cape Town and over 60% in the garden route in Kangaroo. So I think these statistics kind of show that we are trending, and we are trending on par with Cape Town. And if you think of the size of the garden route and the number of products and services in the garden route, and then you take Cape Town, it's really an accolade to how well the garden route has worked together. So going a little bit more into destination marketing, our customers. This is very important. We target high-value leisure and event customers. Encapsulated in that is that same travel trade. So we're looking at high-end luxury travel, and that encompasses domestic and international. And we know through our research, excuse me, that we're targeting a demographic that is 35 to 55 years of age. We know who they are. We know what their interests are, and this is who we're targeting. And this particular market happens to be the fastest growing market in South Africa, predominantly in the Gauteng area. Our markets. We invest our resources and time in a balanced portfolio of different markets that fall within that particular high-value leisure clientele. We do this through our events, we do this through our media platforms, we do this through our stakeholder engagements. We want to invite South Africa and the world to experience the Plett lifestyle. So Plett lifestyle is pinnacle to what we are selling. And we do this through our strategic niche campaigns. But the core message is Plett, it's a feeling. So that's what we sell. Plett is a lot more than just the rivers and just the mountains and just the forests. So we're selling a lifestyle and we're selling a feeling. and we would hope that everybody would be doing the same as well. It's just been a great tagline. It is an envy of many tourism officers that we have a focus and we have an identity in the market. We distribute our content, we distribute to a high value leisure customer, and we like to drive conversion from intention to visitation. So that chase the feeling is, I've got an intent to come and now I must come. So we want to convert that now. We have select partners that extend our ability to grow our market share, to create awareness, and to create brand awareness alongside that. And these individuals, these partnerships are private, they're provincial, they're government, and they're pinnacle to our success. Most importantly, our activations that we do. Everything that we do is underpinned by a committed, high-performing team that has support delivery. We focus on providing top customer service. We focus on providing a wonderful experience while you're in Plett, and we focus on sharing that news throughout the world that this is what you're going to get in Plett. These are some of the highlights of the projects that were presented, that we presented for this past fiscal year that we were going to concentrate on, that include the monetization of our Facebook and YouTube. We continue to strive to monetize our videos premiered on our channels as an added revenue stream. Procurement of original content was started in Q4 of this year, which we've started this journey creating video, photography, and copy, blogs, where this content is first class and it can be used to help monetize us going forward. Our website development, we've created a platform for a user-friendly and time-efficient system for members to upload their updates and information on the website. If you have an event, if you want to change the photos, if you want to change the copy on your dedicated web page, we now have an automated system to do that. We have a CRM system, it's called Zoho. It's a customer relation management system, which is still a work in progress. It will always be a work in progress. These systems sit in a cloud, and it's a conglomeration of information, data, visuals, etc. from each of our members so that we can have it at our fingertip at any given time. We started phase 1 of the Plett Trail app, which we've had 2 stakeholder engagements with private and government stakeholders to identify project needs of what's needed in the trail industry. That is hiking trails, and that is also MTB trails. Phase 2 will be rolling out we're planning for November, early December, to be able to get in time for season, where we will launch our Plett Trail app, which will include 10 green flag status trails and the first green flag status MTB trails in the world. So it's going to be a unique selling point for us that we have, not only do we have this app, but we have these green flag status trails, which is quite exciting. And it's not just an app. The app allows for individuals who are hiking to report, if there's a broken stairway, if there is flooding in a particular area of a trail. And it's really to take raise the bar of hiking in MTB throughout the country. We're still in the process of working on our Cape Nature Robberg beach shuttle. Phase 1 has been complete. Plett Tourism has engaged with the stakeholders, including Cape Nature, the B2 municipality, and a transportation company to provide project services and needs for this shuttle service. So this was brought to our attention in 2019 by Cape Nature. They realized that the parking, Robberg is just overparked, and there just isn't enough space for if they want to be at 100% occupancy, there isn't enough space, and we need to be able to work together to create opportunity so that we can get guests to Robberg Nature Reserve. without it in, without them parking all along roads that they shouldn't be parking on. So we've completed phase 1. Phase 2 now is in the hands of Cape Nature. It is, so Cape Nature has identified their specifications for the project, and they will be finalizing a concession agreement most likely the first part of 2023. And then phase 3 would be the B2 municipality would need to identify and participate in a process where we could introduce a shuttle and parking facilities and the interworkings of how it would work within the town structure. Ikasi Life Stories, those are stories that feature the people and businesses that make up Ikasi Life in and around Plett, targeting the areas of the townships, finding the people, the voices, the projects that the stories we want to tell, and to help uplift these individuals and their projects, giving them a platform for some exposure. We've had 9 articles written by young journalists in our communities. We've used 3 journalists who are young journalists. They're still a little bit in a mentorship training, but it's working beautifully. And then we started our DSTV People's Weather channel. We participate with exclusive video content and interactive content on the People's Weather channel with DSTV. That's an ongoing platform for us, but it's really been amazing, and it's a wonderful platform. It's a great opportunity to garner exposure to children as well. Part of our recovery business plan included an event focus. We have a series called Plett Conversations. Our most recent one was held in May, and it was in the form of a meet and greet. The next Plett Conversation, so the first Plett Conversations that takes place after the AGM reveals our business plan going forward. And then that will be within Q2 of this year, and then we will have a Plett Conversations that might be focused around marketing in the first part of 2023, and then we will most likely have another meet and greet. And in addition to those, we also do travel trade workshops, radio workshops, social media workshops. We're trying to get Knightsbridge to come through to give us a workshop coming forward, and maybe even Tourism Grading Council at some stage. So we do these trade workshops from time to time, and we have 3 anchor events that Plett Tourism organizes and that are Plett Tourism specific events. We are community inclusive. We invite individuals from the different sectors to participate. The Plett Arts Festival, we're going into our 9th year. That includes live art demonstrations, exhibitions, workshops, and film productions. It's an opportunity for local artists to be seen and to be heard, and for locals to also experience national and international artists with their various performances as well. And our arts festival that was held in October 2021, we did a calculation for a return on investment, which was 686,000 Rand was our return on investment in this town, and we spent 75,000 Rand. So that is a 1,093% return, so that's a pretty good return. The Plett Wine and Bubbly is back on the cards for next year. We're hoping to have that either at the beginning of Easter holidays or at the end of Easter holidays. And it's designed, this year's one is designed to include all the agricultural sectors in Plett, because we have a lot of agricultural sectors, not just grapes. We also have avos now, we have macadamia nuts, we have almonds, we have cucumbers, we have a vast variety of different agricultural products that are now, out there in Plett. So based on our 2017 ROI figures, we saw a return on investment of close to 12 million, and we spent 1.2, and that was through sponsorship. That's an 800% return on investment. So we are very strong in maximizing what we're going to get out of the events that Plett Tourism hosts. The Plett Ocean Festival, which was held in July this year, was the first of many to come. It was focused on marine life education, seminars, workshops, etc. for the first 3 days, which was a symposium, and that was followed by 5 or 6 days of beach cleanups. We did SEAL Team, which is a children's movie targeted about conservation at all the different townships. It was really exciting, and we spent, I didn't put what the actual spend was here, but the return on investment was 1.155 million, and we spent 150,000, and some of that was sponsored. So we really pride ourselves and are very excited that we see value in these events. And many may ask, why host an event? You know, why host these events? You know, we try to tie an event with each of our marketing pillars. It's important that we understand that growing the destination Plett as a brand, events play a significant role in that. We're bringing in people from outside. We've got local people who are talking about the events to people outside, so it's really, really important. It's a great way to forge a solid partnership with the B2 municipality, with Plett Tourism, and to have that space. It unites the Plett communities with inclusive participation and opportunities. It attracts visitors. It provides exceptional marketing content. Content is king in this world of tourism. It provides visibility for products and services, bringing them into mainstream events. It provides employment and experiential development and training for everyone involved. And it attracts sponsors and CSI spin-offs for the town. So just as an example, an investment of 1.5 million that was invested in 2017 for the Plett Wine and Bubbly Festival. We got 4.1 million in media value. Our Plett suppliers, 1.5 million direct. Visitor accommodation, 3 million direct. Spend at the festival, 1.9 million direct. And estimated spend in town was 1.2 million. So you can see it has a huge economic positive spin-off having these anchor events. So this is a breakdown of the 1.5 that goes straight to the Plett suppliers. And you might ask, who were those Plett suppliers? So event logistic companies, tenting, furniture, decor, 4 local community bands and DJs, the wine estates, signage and banner companies, security companies, audiovisual companies, catering companies, food vendors, beer and cool drink stands, agents who participated with Waitrooms and barmen, water suppliers, travel and trade, accommodation for speakers and performers, taxis and transport, promotional and advertising design, and we even putting in our community sewing concern because they do our aprons. So you can see the money that is generated within our economy with these events. And this is a breakdown of so 50% of the visitors were from out of town, which is at least 800 bed nights over 3 nights. So this is a breakdown of how we come up with those figures. Spending average 600 Rand a day, which really is not what an average tourist spends in Plett, but these figures are very conservative. We don't over-amplify these figures. These are conservative figures. And the local visitors to the festival contributed another 960,000 Rand to the wine farms and to the food and beverage vendors. So there is a huge economic spin-off. So we always focus on key priorities and objectives at Plett Tourism. Our key priorities are to raise the profile of local tourism and its issues and opportunities across the relevant platforms. Provide communication to members on matters relating to local and regional tourism. That's very important. Processing inquiries regarding local and regional tourism, which we do on a daily basis. Provide input into development of policy plans and programs that impact local and regional tourism. Our main objective is to increase visitation to exceed pre-COVID numbers. that is to increase domestic and international visitors to grow the average spend across all markets. So a little bit of insight from Western Cape Tourism and Westgrow, who's the marketing arm of the Western Cape, is they are showing a prediction, and they're predicting this through the flights, the existing bookings. And that doesn't include the new airlines like Belgium Airlines who've just signed contracts and they're going to be flying into Cape Town. They're saying it's predicted to be better than 2019 from November. So based on this, they've put across a few issues where they would like us to share with you as the tourism industry, that they really are encouraging all of our businesses to be prepared for this bumper season starting in November. Because they said, as you can see in the UK, they had a bumper, their summer was a bumper summer, which was now. And they weren't prepared. They didn't have enough staff. They didn't have properly trained staff. And I think during COVID, a lot of us let staff go, and we maybe not have necessarily replaced staff. Or we maybe not necessarily have taken the time to train our existing staff for December, like a proper December. So we encourage you all to be prepared. And part of that would be to access and train additional staff. Maybe not just hiring in casuals just for the month of December, but rather bring them in beforehand and train them properly, because we want the guests who are here to have an amazing experience and have that customer service level that is there. Delivering a good space for a new tourist to remember, we do that automatically. But it is something that we just need to keep reminding ourselves of. And just also, which is quite exciting, is our new tourism minister, Sisulu. She has created a strategy that is focused on job growth in the hospitality industry. And that's going to be rolled out in February 2023. So we're quite waiting to see what that's going to entail and how it's going to roll out. But I just think it's important for us to be cognizant of that. And for us, most importantly, is that we see the numbers coming. We see the trends in the Western Cape. We are the Western Cape, and it is going to eventually come to us. So we do need to be prepared, and we need to be excited. We need to be excited about what tourism has to offer in the next 3-6 months to a year, because we are going to be seeing numbers coming back. And that's all. Thank you.
Are there any questions or suggestions in relation to Plattie's presentation?
Sorry, I would like to just say that I think that the economic multiplier effect is far greater than what you said, because every guest buys petrol at the garage, they go to the hairdressers, they go to the dentists, they go to Pick and Pay, to Woolies, and so I think that the multiplier effect is far greater. I mean, you did mention it in connection with the festivals, but generally speaking, it is a huge multiplier effect in the town. So
yeah,
we can multiply that by a lot.
Absolutely. We use very conservative figures because, I think when you're doing surveys and doing statistics, it's always safer to be on the conservative side than to blow things up and out of proportion. So I agree with you, it most likely is greater.
And then secondly, I know that your target market isn't exactly the rental market here, or the overseas people, the swallows that own properties, but they are still going to restaurants, they are still going to all the different businesses in town.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the problems that I have come across is that they are only allowed a 3-month visa. So a lot of these people, we chase them away after 3 months. We chase them away with their Deutsche Marks and the euros and the pounds. So
yeah, I know, just to respond to that the provinces are engaging on a national level to try to alleviate some of those issues with visas, and in particular for the Europeans and for the UK. because they are a huge market for South Africa as a whole. And it's much easier to start with tourists that we know come to South Africa quite regularly and in larger numbers, some of our main tourist destinations that are coming to South Africa. And so they are engaging with the European countries and with the UK to try to address the red tape and the hoops that one must go through internationally to get a visa to come to South Africa. So they are currently engaging with that.
Our job creation could be far greater if we were like Brazil. If you own a house in Brazil, you are allowed to stay there. You don't have to go home after 3 months. So they're creating jobs and supporting restaurants and every other business. And so I think that is quite a problem.
Thank you. I think Andre was first.
Betty, I've got 3 questions that I just want to raise. On the Plett Tourism's mandate to engage with the municipality, are you guys at this stage looking at engaging with them in terms of upgrading of the main street, general repair and things like that? Because it's starting to look a bit dated and dilapidated, to be honest. Railings falling apart, buckling, street lights not working, street lights being stolen off the walkways and not replaced, trees not being taken care of, so on. Is that part of the mandate for Plett Tourism to engage with?
I believe it is. Because the partnership in its simplest form in tourism is the municipality providing the infrastructure, the maintenance and resources that are necessary to underpin tourism and for Plett Tourism to get the people here. So we have representatives from the department here. I can see him taking notes, and I'm quite sure he'll draw that to attention of the relevant authorities. But you're quite correct. You know, it may be something that we should do more of, do a critical walk around town and feed information in. But I think it's a very important issue.
And I'd just like to comment that for our plans for this forthcoming fiscal year, in there is a huge emphasis on quality assurance for iconic Plett B2 locations, as well as quality assurance for new products and services throughout B2 in the hospitality industry. Viewpoints, new restaurants, new guest houses, new services that are tourism focused that need quality assurance, and it could be a paved road, it could be lights, it could be water. So it is it's in our minds for it, and with the outcome of our agreement with the municipality, hopefully we'll be able to take it forward.
Can I think secondly, the Plett conversations. I might be the only one that finds it to be so, but I find it to get a bit more out of it when it's in more of a structured setting like we've had before, where it's a meeting, there's a presentation, we can engage, as opposed to a meet and greet over a couple of glasses of wine in the evening. It's fair. I don't know if I'm wrong, but I'm just putting it out there that it's sometimes a bit more engaging, and we get a bit more out of it if we do it in a more structured.
Absolutely. So we generally have 2 that are very structured. So this past year we had the rollout of our business plan, and then the second one was not a one-on-one, but it was a forum with the new mayor and his plans with tourism, which was at the Peace and Valley Hall, which was similar to a setup like this. And then the third one was the meet and greet. Thank you.
Third question.
I had a third question about the blue flag statuses of our beaches now that you're looking into the green flag hiking trails. I'm opening a can of worms, I'm sure. Dogs on the beach and the whole story. Are we ever at any point in danger of losing that status? And what are we doing to combat that? Because the Africa's best beach destination is something that keeps coming up, and we wouldn't want to lose that
absolutely. So what initially happened was there was a possibility that the blue flag status was going to be taken from Robin 5 Beach, and that was not due to dog excrement. It was due to the fact that dogs were actually on the beach. You're not allowed to have a dog, a cat, an alligator, whatever you want. You're not allowed to have an animal on a blue flag beach. And the issue was that where the beach was demarcated for blue flag, immediately went to non-blue flag. So as a dog owner, if you take your dog to the beach, you don't always have control of your dog. So what they did was Plett Tourism, the Beta municipality, and WESO engaged in a process to see how we could stop that from happening. And WESO was very satisfied with the measures that were taken. And even going forward, it's still a process that we're working on. There's new signage and new trash receptacles, a cleanup team. We have found a sponsor for this, and it's going to be implemented over the course of the next few months before season to ensure that we're starting with the in-town beaches. I think there's 4 beaches they're starting with that program, and then they'll extend it out to the other beaches throughout the year. But there is a sponsor, and we are actively engaging with them. We didn't lose blue flag status. Blue flag status, if you lose it, it takes a minimum of 3 to 5 years to get it back. So we fight very hard not to lose the blue flag status. I think in the back there first.
Thank you very much. I like the report. This is one thing that I'm thinking how you might have done this. But I wanted to put a focus on the indicators that you mentioned right at the beginning. And what I'm missing there is the township tourism indicators. Now we are as much as the municipality, we are as much to blame for it. Trevor reminded me of that while we were sitting here. I just want to take this space to also say that we're working towards that. And we've got a workshop, I think, one day on the 20th of September. And I think we need to make a concerted effort so that we don't miss out on it for the next AGM, where we report on specific township tourism indicators. Now, that's my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think it's a great opportunity, and it's something, as we've discussed, it's on our radar, but we need the participation we need the quality assurance from the municipality to be able to assist, and we need the products and we need the services. So, it's on the radar, and it would be great. And I am attending the session, the township tourism session on the 20th. So it'll be quite exciting to see what the outcomes is with that. Thank you.
My name is Trevor. I'm a local. I was born here. Every time I've been attending these AGM for almost 10 years now. Okay, so there's always that thing of the township. When I was sitting here, because I'm from the township, I was born in the township, I stay in the township, my family stays in the township, friends stays in the township. It's saddening what is happening in the township. There's no economic flow in the township. There's no CBD in the township. There's no products that are developed in the township. I saw Katie when she was doing the presentation there, she said 90% of the tourists that came in town, they slept at Bacon Island, which is good. But what about the township? I mean, you go to Joburg, you go to Soweto, there are places for accommodation where people they can go from Sentin and have the township experience and lifestyle and sleep in the township. Like Leru's backpackers in the township, they have restaurants there. My query is one, when are we going to have that? I mean, Plett is one of the most beautiful towns ever. But when it comes to tourism in the township, there's nothing that is really happening. Pretty much mainly state events. You can't make living out of events. We try and develop a proposal to say, hey, look, we want to build the township economy, this is how we want to build it. We want to do a backpacker, we want to do this, we want to do hiking trails, we want to do zip liners, boom, 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 those things, they don't happen. What you find out, you will hear that there's a big, huge company that is coming into the township that wants to initiate almost the same initiative that you guys want to initiate in the township. And that is saddening, because how are the black people from the other side who have nothing? How are they going to develop? How are they going to have enough money to send their kids to better schools, to build their houses, to create jobs for others? As we're speaking right now, one of the people in the township was short. Because of what? Because of economy in the township. There's no economy flow. There's no channel. There's no way that we make sure that people in the township, they stay in the township, those who need to stay in the township. They create businesses and work for others. So I would like to emphasize on one part from Plett Tourism that please, let's develop products in the township so that also the people that are in the township, they can have their own work, they can also be their own bosses. So that there's no lack of jobs, so that the other black person doesn't say to the other black person, you're a foreigner, you're this, you're that, and you start killing each other. I think Plett Tourism also needs to take a huge step when it comes to that. That's what I would like to say. And also, I like the fact that Peddy indicated that you've been working Plett Tourism for almost 15 years in Plett. You guys are not visible in the township. I'm sure most of you have never slept in the township, but you represent township, so which means that you're selling a product that you don't really know, because you've never been in the township, never stayed with your people in the township. I would love to see you guys coming to the township, staying in the township, spending a weekend or spending a night in the township, but you can't, simply because there's no B&B, there's no hotel in the township. So I would love you guys to also focus on that. Thank you very much.
You're blurring too. Trevor? What do you see as the function of Plett Tourism? What is Plett Tourism? What is Plett Tourism?
Plett Tourism is there to actually to market that are available.
It's a destination marketing organization.
Yes.
It's very happy to facilitate development and to advertise products.
Yes.
But its function is not economic development in that context.
Very true.
So the guy that you need to speak to is sitting there.
I know. I know. But also what you need to understand is, me, I'm just a young guy. I'll develop a proposal. I'll give it to him, or I'll give it to him. At the end of the day, you guys come together. You have a great relationship together, right? So you guys are the one who knows our problems. You guys are the one who knows our needs. You guys are the ones that's supposed to come up with a solution. You guys are also supposed to be coming to us and say, okay, how do we make sure that the business becomes a success? We understand you don't have funding. You must remember here, right? This thing is like this. Actually, it's not like this. It's like this, okay? There's the other side of the entity which has nothing, okay? So, you are 90 steps ahead, and I'm starting from zero as a guy from the township who doesn't have access to the capital to start his own business, to fund his business, the program that is worth like about 1.5 million or about 2 million, right? I don't have that money. But if I have a great relationship with Plett Tourism, with Leslie as the head of AED, you guys have other stakeholders that you're in partnership with. You can take our documents, you can give it to them, they can give us, also you have credibility when you're working hand in hand with you guys.
I don't want to drag this on too long. You've got to understand, Plett Tourism is not a development funding organization.
Excuse me, I just say one thing. Sorry, I've heard you say, you haven't got this, you haven't got this, you haven't got this, you haven't got this. Look what a wonderful actor and storyteller you are. Start with that. Start with that. That's go for it, right?
Sorry, can I just ask Trevor something? Sorry. Trevor. Yes, sir. Hi. I'm Alex from England.
Yeah, Alex, yes.
So, what restaurants are you on?
She's the owner. She's right here.
Okay. I don't know about it as you.
Thank you.
So this is the problem we have. So we need to set up a meeting or a presentation or something like that, so that we can say, you know what, I've got 20 guests in the hotel tonight. Let's put something together and let's talk about it. So let's start a conversation about the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a very good point that you raised, but there needs to be a process to follow in order. So I can't give you the money to start with.
Yeah.
So I don't have the money myself. I would like to believe that I'll be training our staff to eventually get to that point where they can open up their restaurants and can open up their own guest houses and can do all of this. But you will also have to take into consideration that I hate the fact when politics gets involved. And you see, politics is getting involved now with the rubbish that we have in Parliament at the moment. This is so bad for our town. We must realize how bad this is affecting the rest of our town. So yeah, I like your point, but we need to find a better way. And I don't think it's Plett Tourism's responsibility.
Okay.
After the meeting,
Okay. Alex, let's do a township tour and come to one. And anyone who's willing to come along.
I would want to
I'll get to the speaker. Let's speak.
I don't want to go into dialogue with my good friend Trevor yet, but there is processes where these things are addressed. And you're absolutely right, it's not a tech tourism process. It's a B2B process. We go out, we develop IDPs, we speak to communities, we ask them, what do you want? Now the cake is that big, and we can only deliver on that size. But I'm not going to go into that. I did however say at the beginning of my conversation that we have an engagement on the 20th of September. I'm inviting Trevor, he's not in his own fault. Because this discussion is exactly what we want. The comments that you made, the Laha connection and those things, we want to tie those things together. We already had the conversation. But we need to formalize it, it's like Alex said, we need a process. And at the end of the day, I think what this meeting has given me today is to have that indicator developed so that Plett Tourism joins us on this journey.
Good, thank you. Let's do it so lady can. I think she was speaking actually before. Is there a hand down?
I'm the honor from a very event. I just wanted to ask if it was possible to mention our presentation this evening.
Yes, there is a stakeholder meeting for the wedding industry being held tonight from 5 to 6. From 6 to 7:38 p.m. at Lookout Grand, so underneath the Lookout deck, and it's a stakeholder meeting for wedding industry suppliers.
Perfect, thank you.
Bruce, I think while you've got the municipality here, we should look at
I see it's just leaving.
Anyway, first and foremost, in order to lose the Blue Flag Beach, you need to look at the toilets. The toilet facilities are atrocious. I represent the Plettenberg Association. I'm also chairman of the Plettenberg Historical Society. All the beaches need proper toilets, and if you don't have it, you can lose that Blue Flag Beach like right away. Secondly, we need to develop our beachfront. Moby Dix is disgusting. If you look at Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia, that's number one. And we can do it here in Plett too. If properties belong to the municipality, you can get a private-public partnership, and that whole area, right from Moby Dix all the way to the NSRI and the Ski Boat Club, could be a tremendously welcoming attraction. Plett has got everything, but when you come there, it's disgusting. It's third rate. And lastly, I would like to know, which is the biggest attracting tourists? Which is the biggest problem attracting tourists? Is it airport? Is it crime? Or is it escalating costs? Or all three?
Are you asking, is that globally in South Africa or in Plett? Plett would probably fall into the same category as the Western Cape, where the biggest concern is quality assurance and safety. Those are the two predominant factors that would keep people away from a town. Would be public safety, that's your personal safety or perceived safety beyond, and then quality assurance, lighting, paved streets, no potholes, street lights, Wi-Fi, things like that. That's quality assurance.
On the security front, we are being painted as part of the Western Cape. Plett is probably the safest town to visit in the country and possibly
escalating costs?
I think the market that we are in, escalating costs are not a great factor at the moment, but it will be going forward, I'm sure.
Okay, and finally the airport. The airport is the greatest attraction we have in Plett, and I don't think the municipality fully understands that. SEME are paying a fortune in that airport. We need the municipality to come in as a partner and to make sure that the airport is never ever closed again.
We engage regularly with the municipality, between the municipality and SEME, to encourage the upliftment of the airport, but at the end of the day it is a municipal property and a municipal contract.
But you are exactly right.
You're right.
Do they realize the value of that airport?
I think sometimes it gets caught up in bureaucratic considerations that override commercial considerations. We've seen that, I'm sure you've seen it on a number of occasions. You know, you've always got to look at the unintended consequences of everything you do. And I think those, you know, there's an administrative glitch and they close the place down and they don't look at the consequences. But there is a process of engagement. You know, we have a mayor in place who's very sympathetic to the tourism industry and, you know, certainly take note, and if there's any further suggestion of adversely affecting the airport, I think we probably have access to far better ears than we did before, and hopefully that will not happen again, because I agree with you 100%. You know, closest airport, George and Port Elizabeth, and we're right in the centre of probably the most beautiful part of the country.
Absolutely.
Point taken.
Thank you. So I'm going to comment and I've also got some questions. And obviously going back to the whole election of the board and the respective roles, and obviously Plett Tourism has set up a structure where there are chapter heads or board members, head of those chapters. So that's why I appreciate Alex's suggestion now to say, come and engage with me regarding your restaurants and better help mentor you, put you in the right track and so forth. And I think that's what I'm personally looking for from the board members. For that engagement. It's the first time I've ever heard that as an extension from a board member to say, come sit with me and I'll assist you. So that's my point about having a fund.
You don't need to be a board member.
Sure.
If you go and ask the questions after, you'll find plenty of takers.
No problem. The other thing is, I think it's quite important that nobody's mentioned up to this point. Patty says that Plett Tourism is in a healthy financial position. However, if you look at the financials, or audited financials from last year, that's not the case. What will happen? Well, first question, if the municipality pulls the funding of 2.4 million rand that they paid in the last financial year. Because if you look at the financial statements, there was an income of 2.6 million, of which 2.4 million was from the municipality grant, versus expenses of, almost the same. The biggest costs sit with the employee costs in the office, and then outsource and professional fees of 1.4 million. Added together, it's 1.8 million rand. If you look at the marketing spend, it's dropped off from 2020 to 2021. All the revenue that's been funded to the board is being used for outsourcing professional fees, employee costs, website costs. Just as an indication, I can tell you, with the website cost of 324,000 rand, my collection, my group that I represent, we paid a once-off cost of 30,000 rand to build the website and 1,000 rand a month maintenance. And if you look at our website versus what Plett Tourism puts out to the public or to the board, it's like night and day. So how do we justify these costs? And are there opportunities to save in expenses? There needs to be some transparency in terms of what these outsourced professional fees are and broken down. So we can determine as where we can come on board and help, we can get partners to come and fund those things instead of having to pay people to do it. If you understand what I'm trying to say. So I think we need a little bit more transparency, because I've asked this question for the last 4 years and I keep it coming to a rock and a hard place. Nobody wants to tell me what's the outsourced and professional fees. And secondly, is there policy in place regarding conflicts of interest? If there's a paid person that's working for Plett Tourism, are they allowed to provide their services at a fee as well? Is that in the constitution? Okay, so the last question I have is, if you're a paid member of Plett Tourism, a paid employee of Plett Tourism, are you allowed to also provide services from your company to Plett Tourism? Is it not regarded as a conflict of interest?
Do you want?
Liz, are you able to add value to that? I'm not sure quite catch that.
Yeah, but not 100% sure. So the outsource fees are Patty, Cindy, Janet, Brendan, because of our finance model of being dependent on the municipality. We are unable to offer anybody like a CEO a permanent job because we cannot guarantee their salary. So they are all basically on contracts, fixed term contracts, not as employees but as service providers. They invoice us, so they're not employees. The only permanent employees who are also on annual one-year contracts are the office staff. So that would be like Emily and Andy and Brady and Tiny. And we had to do it that way because, as you've rightly pointed out, our future depends on finance from the town municipality at the moment. There is actually for a number of years, in fact since Peter's time, we have been looking at external or becoming more independent funding wise. So there's quite a lot in the pipeline there. So that's why it shows like that on the financials.
Yeah, a key issue with Plett Tourism that we're actually dealing with it at the moment in a constructive way is the guaranteed period of funding. It affects employment, it affects sponsorship, it affects any long-term engagement. Because all those people want to know you've got a 3-year or you've got a 5-year contract. How long are you going to be there? We invest in you. How long are you going to be there? It affects employment. If I were to offer you a job at a slightly better salary than Sky Villa are paying you, which is probably a fortune. Just kidding.
Yeah, but that's I think that's a bit out of line. No, really, I think you should retract that statement. Because we're not getting close to the finish.
No, I'm just
saying, but as the chairman, yeah, but you guys say things in jokes, and it's always, it's a laughing matter all the time. This is a serious meeting. I'm paying a membership, and the municipality is funding this, so we need to have more.
You're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
You shouldn't discuss my financial situation.
Okay, Alex, are you willing for me to discuss you?
Sorry?
Can I discuss you? Can I use you as an example? If Alex, for example, in his job was earning a certain amount of money, and Plett Tourism said to him, we would like to offer you a position at a higher salary. And he said, well, how long is that position for? And depending on what time of year it is, we could say, well, at the moment it's 1 month. You understand the problem?
Okay, but then the question comes back is, tell us how much the CEO is getting paid. How much the CEO of Plett Tourism paid? That's public knowledge. It's public knowledge.
It's about half what any other CEO in the country is being paid.
42,000 a month.
Okay.
It does not include medical aid. It does not include transfer costs. It does not include a computer. It does not include Wi-Fi. It does not include my phone.
Okay. All I'm saying is that can we not then do away with the CEO position and just run it as a board without a CEO, restructure it, or I'll put up my hand. I'll be your CEO for free.
I would love to see how you run your organization.
I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
Bruce,
So you can say
please
500,000
use this meeting because everybody's going to start leaving. Because everybody's getting offended.
That's not.
Okay. I think what we need to acknowledge is that the Plett Tourism Board doesn't actually do much. We're oversight. Paddy and her team is the one that drives this town to excel above any other town in Western Cape. And we need to notice that. I told you, you can have my place if you want to. You try to be on the school board as well. We know your tactics, man. Like, just stop with that.
And I'd like to actually say that I actually think, on a positive note, that our website is very detailed and brilliant. It's a fantastic marketing tool, and it's a complex website that's ever changing.
Can I say just
positive? Yeah.
We spend 40. I spend about, I don't even know how many hours we spend on that website, but daily that website is updated. You have to remember that we're one of the main sources of news in Plett digitally. Our website outperforms every other LTO website in the Western Cape except Cape Town, with unique visitors every month. I'm not talking just regular visitors and page views, unique visitors. We're at the top in the Western Cape of all the LTOs except for Cape Town. And those numbers speak for themselves.
Okay, but is that what the 300,000 rand is covering? What is the fees in terms of the website? That's what I'm saying. The board, you talk about the board oversight.
If you'd like,
scrutinize these financials.
I can answer some of those queries for you, Paul, because I am the website. The website isn't just the website. What you're seeing there now, there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. There's web hosting, there's domain name registration fees, there's a lot of other expenses that go into those costs as well. There's other things like videography,
MailChimp,
newsletter development. There's I can send you a list actually and a breakdown of times, all kinds of timesheets, things like that if you like. So there's a lot of yeah. I've never been asked for it by anyone. So I spend a lot of time. In fact, a lot of my time that goes into all the website development stuff and so on doesn't actually get billed quite a lot of the time because I know Plett Tourism doesn't have the funds. So I often cut those hours out. So I'm happy to provide you with statistics and figures.
And just the last thing was the contingency plan. Should the municipality pull that funding? What is the contingency plan? Is there one? Because it's apparently not too much.
I have put together a very deep, comprehensive tourism bylaw, and which has provision for a tourism levy. Most countries and towns have a tourism levy. In other words, that members of the industry need to contribute towards what is being done on their behalf. Unfortunately, I think it is something that will move forward now that we have a different administration in place, but previously it was interrupted by argy-bargy and control issues and all sorts of things. And then COVID came, of course, and the suggestion that we should draw levies from members who were suffering would not have been well received. But very mindful of what you say, Paul, and you are 100% right. We need to get into a situation where we become increasingly self-funding, because therein lies the security. Thank you for that comment.
Final, I think what we get charged as members for a membership fee is beyond value for money. And I think what you guys have done over the last couple of years is phenomenal. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That's about it. I think maybe make this the last question.
Yeah, I won't be long. Nicole from the Lisbon Graph Collection. I just wanted to say that I've served on various organizations within the garden route, and at the present moment, since Patty's been in the steering committee of the Plett Tourism. Plett is the destination that all the other destinations on the garden route strive to become. All the other LTOs look to what Plett is doing and question why they can't be the same. I've lived on the garden route for 30 years, and I've yet to see a destination turn itself around the way Plett's done over the last 10, 15 years. And that is kudos to Plett Tourism and the board's vision. So I think we need to just remember everybody has a right to question, and Paul has a right to ask about the financials. That's entirely up to each member if they want to get more involved. You've got to put your hand up, you've got to come forward, and you just simply ask for a meeting and you have those questions answered. It's all about
about collaboration, and it's all about private sector also supporting the tourism sector as well as the public sector. If we don't work together, we're not going to get ahead. So I think, Patty, I'm your biggest advocate, you know that.
Unpaid. Thanks very much for that contribution. You know, if I can just take a very quick aside from Chairman's privilege as a measure of how I perceive Plett Tourism, because I started the process of Plett Tourism many years ago because it was an in-house municipality organisation that was doing absolutely nothing and being paid a fortune. At about that time, I visited Honest, I picked up a Getaway magazine and it had the top 10 beach destinations in South Africa on it. I enthusiastically pushed through the pages, Plett didn't rate. The 10 follow-up beach destinations, Plett was not on the list. Last year and the year before, we won the top beach destination in Africa. That is not a coincidence, that is hard work that has achieved that. Okay, we're going to close questions there. Can I have a hand to adopt Patty's report and then second it, please? Got. And to adopt the annual accounts that have been presented and a seconder. This doesn't stop you asking questions or taking invitation. Patty, would you like to address the issue of, and just go a little bit through the process of what has been done to get nominations for a new board in place?
So we set out the nomination request forms in June. So the nomination request forms were sent out on the 28th of June. We do put a deadline to that purely for administrative purposes, as we spoke about earlier. We received, we had 2 open seats, and then we had the additional seats were already filled, and those individuals were prepared to stand again. The 2 open seats were self-catering and hotel and resorts. And we only had 1 nomination for either of those seats, and then we had no additional nominations for activities, ecotourism, or restaurants. So those individuals who currently sat on the board agreed to sit another term on the board. Some of those members are here. Alex from Ebony Moon River Lodge is the restaurant representative. Victor Zinguela. Victor is for guest houses and B&Bs from Lion Roars Group. And then we have the nominee Linda Packwood from Plett Villas for self-catering, and Nicole Tumner from the Plettenberg and Liz McGraw collection for hotels and resorts. And ecotourism is Graham Thompson. He was unable to attend today due to medical reasons. And Jaco Kruger is here from activities. He owns and operates offshore adventures. And everybody comes with a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience, and sits on various boards and is well versed in what Plettenberg Bay has to offer. And as you saw with Alex, the doors are open. If you're not comfortable approaching them directly, you can always approach us at the office and we can do an introduction.
Okay, just a slight correction there. When Patty says the seats are already full, that is not actually a correct statement.
There were no additional nominees.
And certain board members indicated they would be willing to stand again, but that didn't stop other nominations being made to contest their particular seat. And then there was resignations, and there were seats that needed to be filled because no one was standing up, and those were then filled. So there's no question of, there's been a suggestion that this was all organised in advance. Up to today, anybody in this room could present a nomination form duly signed and seconded, and they would go into the hat, and one of the seats would become contested. But as I pointed out earlier in my discussion, we don't have people queuing up to make that commitment. So it's not as if we got 10 candidates for each seat to talk to. We're lucky if we're able to fill the seats, and we really value people who come forward to do that, because it's a thankless task. You become part of a very good team, and board meetings are pleasant enough and constructive occasions, but nevertheless, the volunteers are generally in short supply in this world, and Plett Tourism is no exception. Did I see a hand?
I understand there was a community post on the board that was vacant.
Yes.
So we're doing as it would do.
Sorry, I didn't get the last part.
Has it been
Has it been
filled?
filled? Can I answer on that? So at the inaugural board meeting, which will be our next board meeting, those community positions will be, they will be discussed, and people will be appointed by the board.
Can I then suggest that through our municipal representatives on the board, it is Jacobs and Ferrick, that perhaps, because we are driving this township tourism thing, that we have to consider someone to fill that post who will focus on that particular sector. Such suggestion I'm putting.
Yeah, no,
that we
what
like
are your suggestions that
I would
we
like
can
to
put? And that we get good contributing people on the board. Please feel free to send it. We really value that, because we actually had a board member who was specifically tasked with that function. She's since resigned, and nothing came of it. So any contribution, any assistance, any support, highly valued.
So your committee is able to co-opt members, paid up members?
Correct. Into certain positions, yes.
I think this should be done in these cases.
Yeah, okay. We take note.
Sorry, I know it's not question and answer time, but I wanted to say something. Being based in town, we've got a huge problem with vagrants and security in our town. And I just think, I know it's not a big tourism thing, and I know we need to work through the municipality, and I know we've got big security that do a huge task with regards to security. But if we to bring tourists into our town, we need to address security. And it's not only security with break-ins and that, but security in our town. Our foreigners, and I know because I'm in the restaurant and I talk to them, they want to feel safe. They want to know that they can walk around our town. And if we can't get that security in our town, then we are lacking something. Because that's the most, when you travel, when you go overseas, what is the first thing you want to know? Is that you can walk around the town. And if you cannot walk around this town, which you can't do at the moment, we've got a problem. And it's something we need to address. It's one thing doing all this amazing